Earth signs, this is your weekly predictive reading for October 5th through October 11th. So, generally, what's coming up here is delayed frustration. So, that's what's going on here. So, Earth signs, I'm talking about Taurus, I'm talking about Virgo, and I'm talking about Capricorn. It's going to hit you differently in different ways. But generally, what's coming up is this feeling of frustration, this feeling of having like your expectations not being met over and over and over again. And for Taurus, it's going to be the expectations within self. For Virgo, it's going to be the expectations of others not fulfilling their part, doing their duty. And for Capricorn, it's going to be the expectations of not being able to do these things for other people, or something that is limiting you from doing that Capricorn very boss type to be able to organize things, because your goal at the end of the day is to organize things for the collective, and you feel very limited here. So what's going on in this spread is, number one, it's this feeling of child, like I'm getting man-child energy, but child of feeling like you want to feel nestled, you want to feel supported. But it's talking about, I'll use the term mental health, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, but saying that there's a lot of mental things going on that make you feel just like you're not, like you're trying to be safe, and it comes off as you're lashing out, lashing out, and you might not even notice it. Like you gotta have some other placements in your chart, or you gotta be pretty open-minded. And this is for if you're sun, moon, or ascendant. So you got to be pretty open-minded to listen to someone who's like, hey, you're lashing out. And the only reason why you're lashing out, or you feel like you're snapping or something like that, whether you snap internally to yourself or snapping in front of other people, is because you're just trying to make yourself safe. You're just trying to surround yourself by protection because you're just really frustrated. You feel like this is a very vulnerable time for you next week. And so, or this week, feeling like, that week of October 5th through the 11th is like, oh, like, don't mess with me this week. This is not the week. The Ace of Cups is that the root of what you want is to feel comfort. The root of what you want is to do good in the way that earth signs do good, which is that momentum of keeping things going, of being reliable, of being stable, of being consistent. And that's all you want. You don't want to have to work on these other things. But a lot of times earth signs struggle with the air elements. And the reason why is because it's an internal aspect that is kind of difficult. With water also being internal, it's your astrological opposite. So you're a little bit better at flowing the opposite way of that. But with air, it is also an internal thing. And it can be a struggle from time to time mentally to feel like you're not enough, or mentally feel like everything is coming against you, or mentally critique yourself so bad, and because you believe your thoughts, you think it to be real. So try to disconnect yourself from that, and that's what that frustration is. The Tower is indicating that things are falling apart. So this is a week for you where mentally it feels like a falling apart. It feels like things are not going as planned. Like you plan things out, you're trying to execute your tasks, and things are just not going according to plan. And for Taurus, you might be able to like you might want to like do a little bit of the hermit energy of refuge. Like you want to go and just like put your head under your pillow and be like, and then Virgo, like you want to like figure it out, like you want to analyze it. And with the Capricorn, like you want to like control everything to make it not fall apart. But this is when you really got to harness those internal things of the Five of Cups, which is the common theme of this week, of going internally. Externally, it's going to fall apart for you because you don't need to focus on any of that external stuff. It's an internal thing going on. And the end goal of focusing on the internal is this sun, you bringing yourself out, you getting to a new point, you feeling fresh and anew. The King of Cups indicating you have this authority, or you have the highest ability to feel at one with these internal feelings, emotions, things like that. And the Hierophant, which is this wisdom, this metaphysical wisdom, this metaphysical authority that it's like there's nothing you can do to outrun this. There's nothing you can do to control the situation in the way that you like to externally. It all happens internally. And if you can let this stuff go and work on what's happening internally, it's going to just be such a blessing in disguise. But it's almost like a snickering and a laughing at you, because it's like you're really going to be challenged by this. You're really not going to want to do this. You're not going to want to go internally, because you like things not only are consistent, but you like to look at things from like what has performed consistently over time. And going internally is nothing about that. It really is about connecting with yourself and just going in there without a map and blindly. So it feels opposite, but trust yourself. The King of Cups is saying, trust yourself. You got this. You are coming from the highest amount of ability, of balance, emotional. Trust yourself. You can do it. Your next card is the Nine of Swords. Whatever's coming up this week of October 5th through the 11th has kept you up at night. It will keep you up at night. And it's an indication or a balance between the top and the bottom of like, hey, go this path or go that path. These are the two paths of the week. It's your choice. Do you want to go this way or you want to go that way? This way feels a little bit, way feels vulnerable and feels different, but you're trusting yourself. This way is you're trying to do things the way you've always done things, but it's just frustration after frustration. So that's where you're going to feel a struggle in between the two and betwixt the two. So the Five of Wands, it feels like kind of everybody around you is trying to figure it out too. Like it's like you then turn to other people in order to give you like some guidance or some balance or some consistency or something like that. And it just feels like a free-for-all, like like where to go. It could also represent the different aspects of your personality, just trying to, you see how it's climbing up here? It's trying to go here. The ego self is trying to do the stuff you've always done. And guess what's over here? Fire. Things are not working out in the way that you thought it was going to work out. But to access this path, this internal path, it feels like you're being trampled over. It feels like you're being the underdog, or you're feeling you're the little one or something like that. And you're trying to climb up to these things, but there's no good up here this week for you to be able to do that. So, resist those urges to want to do things the way you've always done it. Queen of Wands, which is the Queen of Action. Towards the end of the week, you're going to get in a good rotation of how you want to approach the week. And if you've done your work and you were vulnerable with yourself at the beginning, you're going to finesse it. You're going to find this perfect balance in between the things you've always done, as well as like what you're learning how to do. But remember, this is how the week could go, or it could go this week. It's that defining moment around Thursday or Friday of October 5th through the 11th that you're going to figure it out. Either you're going to be like swaying to one way or the opposite way. And that's really going to, be a determining factor, because she is laughing at you, or she is laughing, or you and her are having the greatest of laughter for just the funny part of like, wow, I can't believe I just made all of these challenges for myself. So that's you. Is she laughing at you? She laughing with you. Okay. Like it's going to be one of the two things. So earth signs, if you have water, you have a good water placement, or you have some airs, like you have Libra placements, it's going to be in your chart. It's probably going to be a little bit easier for you to navigate this, because you're going to have some of those energies going on. If you have an extreme amount of earth in your chart, it's going to be difficult. You might find yourself fighting with other people because it is a representation of you fighting with yourself. You could also just internally be fighting with yourself and struggling with a lot of these mental aspects of just feeling overwhelmed, because earth signs get easily overwhelmed because they want things to be consistent. They will put things in the piles they need to, but if the universe is just doing this all the time, just like, they put things in their pile and the universe is just like wiping it away, it makes them feel mentally messed up. Like, I have a family member who's a Capricorn, and he would always put his crayons in a row, and then I would be like, I don't know why I would do that. So I would just move it out the row. And I was like, how does that make you feel? He's like, it doesn't feel good. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. It's still there. You can use it whenever you need to. He was like, with his finger, it doesn't feel good. And that's really what's happening here. You want things to be in the row. You want to do things the way that you've always done it, earth signs, but that's just not what's going on for you during this week. And then the Two of Cups, that balancing, that merging of energy. Towards the end of the week, if you're doing exactly what you need to do, it actually doesn't matter, because the end goal is either the Tower or the King of Cups. You're going to learn the lesson, and you can learn the lesson in both ways. When you look at your life, you can look back at things now and be like, dag, man, that was a struggle, but I learned what I needed to. Or you can look back at something like, wow, that was such a wonderful experience, and I learned what I needed to. It doesn't matter how you learn the lesson. You can learn the lesson in pain, or you can learn the lesson in comfort, but the lesson is going to come. It is your choice of how you learn it. So at the end of the week, you're going to get what you need from whatever is happening this week, but it is your choice of how you do it, because vulnerability feels scary, but it's actually much more comforting. And, doing the things or being micromanaging and controlling things feels secure, but it's actually causing all this anguish to come up. And the Knight of Pentacles is talking about overall, like, just trying to lay this foundation, like everything that you're doing, whatever's coming up this week is like, you see in the big pictures that you want to have this foundation in life. Like, you want to, you're not afraid to do the work. You're not afraid to plow the land. You're not afraid to go at it in the way that it needs to be gone at. But also, if you really do feel like you want to lay out that secure foundation, you're going to have to do some internal work as well. There's a lot of chakra energy going on here too. And that's the balancing internally, the healing internally. So if you, as you claim, want to do this, like you want to have this secure life, you want to lay this foundation, it's not all going to be earth energy. You're going to have to focus on various elements too. And so your greatest understanding is that you have to go through this week in order to learn that lesson, either in comfort or in pain. And again, the King of Pentacles, that's what you want. At the end of the day, you want to feel secure. And look, he's laughing because he's at a place where he knows, like, there's a time to move. There's a time to be still. There's a time to go in. There's a time to be consistent. And he's learned all the lessons of his life to know when, and he has all these books of wisdom behind to know when to strike and when not to. And you're still trying to learn, because anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, you are trying to be, action oriented and do something to make you feel better. But that's not necessarily what you need in the moment. In the Wheel card, the Wheel card is sending an indication of, like, you're going to skew one or the other way. Either it's going to be this and you learn your lesson, or it's going to be that or you learn your lesson. It can go either way, but it's also saying that, like, you are a co-creator. You have the ability to co-create life in magical and wonderful ways. And so if you, say, like, hey, I'm going to work internally. I know I'm used to doing things externally and consistently, and, things being in their order and just being on autopilot mentally and emotionally. What I'm going to do is work with the, like, balancing on this wheel. If you just keep your foot down on this wheel, you're going to fall off. But if you continue to move and you continue to dance, you then control the energy, whether the wheel is going right or the wheel is going left. And so that's what's happening of this week of October 5th through the 11th. Something's going to happen and you're going to be given two paths, because there's a lot of duality here. You're going to be given these two paths. So choose this path, but if you don't, just realize that you're going to learn the lesson that you need to at the end of the week. So y'all, I hope you enjoyed this reading for the earth element. I do as well individual readings too. So that, as well as all the other elements too. And I told you it can be your sun, your rising, or your moon. So find out what those things are, and you can put these readings together to get the fullest picture of what's happening for you during that week. Bye.